homework and I didn't answer it because we didn't talk about this.
Okay, perfect. Bianca, did you have your recitation class yet?
Yes, but we discussed other stuff.
Other stuff. Good. Okay. All right. So, I guess a little bit of review. Okay, we're going to talk about what we call short run profits. Okay, so remember what we did with perfect competition. We have to draw side-by-side graphs. One for the overall market, big P, big Q, label that the market. Okay, and the next step, we're going to draw another set of axes. And this is going to be...
short run, right?
What's that?
Short run, right?
Short run.
Yeah.
Can you share screen, please?
Sorry. There we go. Okay, and this one is going to be little q because we're talking about one small individual firm in this market. Okay, so the market demand and the market supply is exactly as we studied before, and that'll come up with market equilibrium price and market equilibrium quantity. And then we have to go back to some of the characteristics of perfect competition. Many firms selling exactly the same homogeneous good. Okay, so for that reason, every single firm is going to have to be a price taker. There's our little P star. And what that shows us is infinite, perfectly elastic firm demand, which also shows us marginal revenue. Okay, and whenever we figure out marginal revenue, that's half of the story. The other half we have to look at is the cost side. So we have to take a look at our Nike sign for marginal cost. And then we do our marginal analysis. If it's ever the case that MR is bigger than MC, do more, increase your production. If MR is ever less than MC, do less, decrease your production. Okay, and whenever those two are equal to each other, or in this graph where they intersect, that's going to be your profit maximizing little Q star for the firm. Okay, and then to actually see the profit, we need to draw in that other graph, which is going to be our ATC curve. So it's going to be down, touch, and then start to come up. There's our ATC. Okay, and then remember our idea of profit was equal to total revenue minus total cost, which is equal to P times Q minus ATC times Q. Okay, and then what we could do is we could factor out the Q and just do P minus ATC. So at your little Q star, it's P minus ATC times Q. There's going to be our area of economic profit. Now what we're going to do is, because we see this short run profits, we're going to do an adjustment process. Okay, and what that adjustment process means is, if there's a reason for our situation here to change, it's going to change. So it's totally fine for firms to be earning profits in the short run. Great for you. But what that's going to do is, that's going to encourage new firms of joining this industry. And when these new firms join, they're joining with that same homogeneous good that every other firm is producing. So what we see is an increase in the number of sellers. That's going to mean the market supply for this product is going to increase. If that happens, that means in the market, we're going to arrive at a brand new equilibrium price, B2, and a brand new equilibrium quantity, Q2. Same story as before, though. If that's the new market price, it must be the brand new firm price as well. And that's going to show us perfectly elastic, perfectly horizontal, little d2, little mr2.
I have a question. If the profit equals zero, like there is no, like there is no more profit, people, like no more people can enter, but people need to get out of the industry, or they can stay.
So careful with your words. It's not that they can enter. It's that they don't want to enter. There's no more reason for any new firms to come in because profits are equal to zero.
But people start to get out of the industry when there are losses. If
Uh-huh.
the profit is zero, they can still like be in the industry.
Absolutely. Okay, because remember,
Okay.
what type of profits are we talking about in economics class?
And the opportunity cost.
The one that includes opportunity cost. So we always talk about economic profit. So if accounting profit is equal to zero, man, that sucks. That means you're not earning anything at home. You don't get to take any money home to your wife and kids. But if you're earning zero economic profit, that means you're still earning accounting profit. You're still earning some money, but you're just earning back your opportunity cost. Hold on one second.
So when you go to the other market, because of that reason, it's gonna be actually the same. It doesn't matter. You can just like stay in that market that equals to zero profit because.
I try to do the losses with my recitation, as you said, like
Okay.
to try to do it. And like what I kind of understood is that now the average total cost is above the price. So now the average, like the total cost is bigger than the total revenue. So that's when people have to shut down because they don't have even money to pay their workers.
Okay, a little bit too far. So they are earning losses. We'll get there in 1 second.
Yeah. I tell her like to teach it to me because you said like to try to cover it with our recitation.
So I just want to make sure that you're not getting the concepts confused. So we'll talk about short-run losses in a second. Okay. So with these short-run profits, again, there's a reason for new companies to come in, and whenever there's a reason, they'll do it. So new companies will come in that'll increase the market supply, which is going to drop the equilibrium price. So that means the firm price drops too, which means a lower demand and a lower marginal revenue for the firm. Okay, nothing at all happened to the MC. It stayed exactly the same. Nothing at all happened to the ATC. The cost curves for the company stayed exactly the same. Okay, so it's this brand new MR intersecting this original MC, and that's going to happen here. But here's our brand new Q2. And here what you see is at that Q2, here's my price, P2, but there is also my ATC. At Q2, it happens to be the case that P is equal to ATC.
I have a question.
1 second. If P is equal to ATC, then what is P minus ATC? One more time. If P is equal to ATC, what's P minus ATC?
So MTC. I don't know.
If price is equal to average total cost, like I'm saying, like if 5 is equal to 5, then what is 5 minus 5?
0.
0. Okay, and if P minus ATC is 0, if I multiply that by Q, what that means is at Q2, my profit is equal to 0. I have no economic profit there whatsoever, which means there's no more reason for any more firms to come in. So I'm going to be stopping at S2.
I have a question. The average total cost doesn't move because of the homogeneous product.
No, it's because what caused the price to move? Why is it that, the price is now at P2?
The supply.
Yeah. Okay. And what caused the supply to move in the market?
The extra firms.
The extra firms came in. And when those extra firms came in, did they mess up the demand for my current firm here?
No.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, the demand, yes, but the ATC, no.
Yeah, but they didn't mess with this firm's costs at all. Nothing at all happened to the costs. They stayed exactly the same. Okay? So the only thing that changed here from this increase in the number of sellers is the market price dropped, which caused the marginal revenue for these firms to drop. Okay? So this is how we arrive at, or this is how we go from short-run profits into what we call long-run equilibrium. Because in the long run, there's going to be zero economic profits. It's a long-run equilibrium because at that point where there's zero economic profits, there's no more reason for change. No other companies are going to even think about coming in. Okay. So we could flip the story around, and this is what you were talking about before. We're going to be talking about short-run losses. Losses, all that is negative economic profit. So let's just draw out that situation. And what you'll realize is, if I'm talking about short-run profits, or if I'm talking about short-run losses, most of the story, most of this drawing is going to be exactly the same. I start out with my market, I start in with my firm. Downward sloping demand, upward sloping supply in the market, which means in the market, here's my P star, my Q star. That means for the firm, they're going to be a price taker, perfectly elastic, demand, and marginal revenue. I have my marginal revenue, so I draw in my marginal cost. Okay, where MR is equal to MC, that shows me my profit maximizing quantity. So up until this point, it's exactly the same as short-run profits. I drew everything exactly the same. Now the only big difference is, when I want to show short-run profits, I'm going to draw my ATC curve here. When I want to show short-run losses, I'm going to draw my ATC here. You might be asking yourself, well, why do you do that? Well, it's because I want to show short-run losses. I want to show that this guy is making negative economic profit. So one thing you want to make sure you don't do is something like this. That's wonky. Okay, because you need to make sure that your U-shaped your parabolic ATC curve is minimized where it still touches MC. So you still need to hold that rule. What's that?
Doesn't the ATC go below?
No.
Like the minimum.
So again, I do that if I want to show short-run profits. If I want to show short-run losses, I show it above.
Okay.
Okay. Because it's the same analysis. I know that my profit, the little shortcut was quantity times P minus ATC. So if it happens to be the price is bigger than average total cost, you're going to see that this profit is positive. What happens if the price is less than the average cost? Then P minus ATC would be a negative number, which means I'm going to be having negative profits. This is what I'm seeing here. At Q star, here's my price. At Q star, here's my ATC. So here's my P minus ATC distance, but you see that this is the P and this is the ATC. So it is a distance, but it's kind of sort of like a negative distance. So if I do P minus ATC now, and I multiply that by Q, now, what does this box here, what does this area represent?
Loss.
Yeah, it's losses. It's still profit, but it's negative profit. Okay, so these are going to be economic losses.
And in the real life, what does it look like? Like, what is an economic loss?
It just means you're not earning back your opportunity cost. Okay, it means you're not earning as much here as you can at your next best alternative. So what that means is stop doing this. Go do something else. Go do your next best alternative. Okay, doing that other thing is better for you than staying here and sticking with this market. So for now, let me just tell you the story like this. Let's say for this firm here, for whatever reason, they're making economic losses, but they're able to stick it out for a little while. Okay, let's just say that this guy, he was doing okay for a little while. Okay, maybe he had a little bit of extra savings at the bank. So he's just going to hold tight. Okay, he's just going to wait and hope that the situation gets better. But there's going to be some other companies out there, some other firms, okay, who they don't have enough savings. Okay, they decide, you know what, it's not worth it for me anymore. I'm going to close my shop and I'm going to go do something else. Well, as other firms start to exit the industry, how does that affect my market here?
It shifts to the left.
What shifts to the left?
The suppliers.
Good. Why? What was the determinant?
Because there's less sellers.
Good. A decrease in the number of sellers. So because some firms decided to leave the market, that's going to cause my supply curve to shift to the left.
Which means my price increases.
Yeah, for the remaining firms, that actually makes their situation a little bit better. Just think about it. There's fewer competitors out there. There's less of a market supply. So that's going to cause the market price to increase.
And how does this affect the consumer? Like if the price increases?
That's a higher price that they have to pay. Okay, so now if the price is up to P2 for the market, well, price taker, it must mean that price is higher for the firm as well. So instead of charging people P star, the firms that were able to stick it out can now charge people P2, a higher price. And because they're able to charge customers a higher price, that means that their demand is higher. That means that their marginal revenue is higher now than it was before. Same thing though, when some of these existing firms left, they screwed up the price, they screwed up this firm's demand here, but they did absolutely nothing to the firm's marginal cost or average total cost or any sort of cost curves.
One question: why does the quantity doesn't change in the firm?
It does.
That's why the supply shifts.
For the firm, the quantity is going to change because we have a brand new marginal revenue. The marginal cost is exactly the same as before. It's this Nike sign. Okay, it's not like this marginal cost shifted for whatever reason. It stayed put. But now, since this marginal revenue is different, it intersects this marginal cost here now. Not
I see
here
what you
anymore,
meant.
but here.
Is that the Q star in a firm is the same number as the Q star in a market?
No,
right?
no. That's why I put little q for the firm.
So it goes back and forth until, like, is there a point when it stops, the supply curve stops shifting?
Yeah, because here, with profits, supply curve started moving to the right as new companies came in. When did it stop moving to the right?
When there were losses.
No. When there was no profit. Careful, losses is not the same thing as no profit. Okay, no profit means no losses as well. Okay, so right when there's zero economic profit, zero economic losses, that's where firms stopped coming in. Here. Because there was negative profit or because there were losses, some firms decided to leave. That means the supply curve slowly started shifting to the left. But when do firms stop leaving? Well, when there's no more reason to leave, when there's no more losses being seen. It doesn't mean that these firms are going to go into positive economic profit. It just means when the losses are equal to zero, no more firms leave.
I have one question. Why in the market the quantity goes down and in the firm the quantity goes up?
Good question. Let's start here. In this situation, because there are profits being seen, what happened to the market quantity?
Goes up because there are more sellers.
What happened to the firm quantity though?
It goes down.
Wait, how is it the case that the firm is producing less but the market is producing more?
Because I think it's because like there's so many sellers that there's
Good.
just like enough. I don't know, like I don't know how to explain
Because
it.
what changed this entire story was an increase in the number of sellers. More companies came in. So it's the case that every single individual firm is producing less. But overall, there's so many more firms that the market is producing more.
But why would you produce less if you have like infinite customers?
Because your price went down. Because your marginal revenue went down. Instead of earning $10 per quantity, now you're only earning $8 per quantity.
That's why in perfect competition, like there are no barriers. Like you can leave or enter whenever you want.
No, there's an infinite number of buyers.
No, I mean in sellers.
There's an infinite number of sellers. Okay. Okay, flip around the story and let's think about it this way then. If there were losses being seen in the short run, these are the losses, okay, that encouraged some firms to exit the industry. That's what caused this supply curve to shift to the left. So what happened to market quantity?
It went down.
What happened to firm quantity?
It increases.
So how is it that the firm is producing more, but the market overall is producing less? Because what caused this is some firms exited the industry.
So each one has to do more.
Not
Supply
have
more.
to do more, but each firm will be doing more, but there's a lot fewer firms, so overall, the market quantity is going to decrease.
But then, is there like an increase in like sales?
A what?
Because there's less seller. Like,
So
Sorry, what was the first question?
are there increases in like in demand after because when companies leave?
So there
I
was an
think
increase in the firm demand.
Mhm.
It all happened to the market demand. It is where it is.
Yeah, I mean in the firm.
Yeah, the firm demand has increased, okay, because the market price has increased. Okay. All right. So what you're seeing here is if there's profits in the short run, firms will keep on coming in and they'll drive those profits to be smaller and smaller and smaller, and they'll keep on coming in until there's no more profit. When there's no more profit, there's no more reason for any more companies to come in. On the flip side, if there's short run losses, some of the existing firms in the market will leave. They'll go do something else. So they're going to keep on shrinking and shrinking those losses for the remaining firms until those losses are equal to zero. And then there's no more reason for anybody else to leave. So profits, new companies come in. Losses, existing firms leave. No matter which direction we start from, eventually we'll come to a point where there's something called long run equilibrium. And in long run equilibrium, we've reached that perfect balance. There's no more profits, but there's no more losses, so
could
there's
you
no
go
more
back?
reason for companies to come in or leave.
Could you go back to the other one that I
Yes, my
forgot
recitation
to
says
copy
that
something?
like no, there's no profit in the long run in
Uh-huh.
perfect competition. It's only in the short run.
For this one?
Yeah. Thanks.
Okay.
I wanted to copy something.
Okay.
So in here, the only thing that changed is that now instead of the profit being negative, well, like a loss, now it's the profit is at zero.
Good. And the same thing here. Instead of profits being positive, where there's positive economic profits now, in the long run, the profits are equal to zero. Profits are equal to zero. Losses are equal to zero. It's the same thing.
And you can determine that when the average total cost is above or below,
Yeah.
in the minimum or the maximum. Of the minimum
Not at the
cost.
minimum or the maximum. It's just if it's the relationship between price and average total cost. If
So in
price
the
is ever
long,
bigger
in
than average
the,
total cost, then there's positive profits. If price is ever less than average total cost, then there's losses.
so in the long run, there's never going to be economic profit.
Uh-huh.
But like if you take away that opportunity cost and you make accounting profit, there will be accounting profit.
There is accounting profit for sure. Yeah. So these guys don't feel really bad for these guys. They are earning money, but they're not earning more than their opportunity cost. And I know that sucks, but that's kind of sort of what we want in an economy. Everybody to be earning exactly what they should be earning. You don't see like super duper rich people. Okay, everyone is just earning what they're supposed to be earning. So let me do this for you. So at every step of this process, you should now be understanding what's going on. So that little Q star for the firm, that's profit maximization because that's where MR is equal to MC. But to see the profit, what else do I need to draw?
The average total cost.
If the average total cost happened to be here, is that going to be profits or losses?
Profit.
If the average total
Profit.
cost happened to be here, is that profits or
Losses.
losses? Losses. So if the ATC is here, I'm not done yet. This is still the short run. There's going to be some adjustment. If the ATC is here, there's going to be some adjustment. So where is there not going to be any more adjustment? Well, it's when profits and losses are both equal to zero. And the only way to show that is your ATC coming down, touch,
If it intersects in the equilibrium, like
and then come up. Okay? Where the minimum point of ATC just happens to touch exactly there where MR is equal to MC. Because at that quantity now, take it up to the demand curve, there's the price. At that Q star, we'll take it up to your ATC curve. Well, yeah, that's also equal to my ATC. Wait a second. Right there at that Q star, price is equal to ATC. And if price is equal to ATC, how much is your profit?
0.
Zero. If you don't trust me, P is equal to ATC, right? Let's multiply everything by Q. What's P times Q?
Revenue.
Revenue.
Total revenue.
Yeah.
What's ATC times Q?
Total cost.
Total cost.
So what I mean when I say price is equal to average total cost, what I actually mean is total revenue is equal to total cost. If that's the case, then what's my profit?
0.
Zero. So this is long run equilibrium. This is how you show it when there's no more adjustments to take place. No more companies come in, there's no profits. No more existing firms leave, there's no losses. Everything is balanced, everything is as it should be.
So
But I have a question. If you don't win profit, why won't you leave? Because you're not winning money.
Again, what kind of profit are we talking about?
Economic. not
Yeah, so
accounting.
you are still earning accounting profit. You're still earning money, but you're just earning as much here as you can at your next best alternative. So there's no reason for you to change.
So we can determine if it's in the long run equilibrium when
Mhm.
the average total cost intersects at 0.
When your average total cost is minimized where MR is equal to MC.
Okay.
Or another way of saying that is when your price is equal to average total cost, that's when we're in long run equilibrium.
So the average total cost always determines the adjustments.
The average total cost determines your profit, and the profit determines the adjustment.
Okay. Perfect. Makes sense.
Okay. So let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of this. Good job, guys. This
So-
does takes a little while to get a hold of, but then it sounds like you guys are starting to understand what's going on.
So the long run equilibrium
Mhm.
is when the short run total revenue equals total cost,
Mhm.
or so it's the same as a short run.
No. Short run is when there could be profits, there could be losses. In the long run, there's no losses, there's no profits.
Why? Because you're prepared. Why? Because you prepared for it, or now?
No, because everything has adjusted already in the long run.
Okay.
Okay? Because if everything is adjusted, remember, whenever there's profits, what changes? New companies come in. Whenever there's losses, what changes? Existing firms leave. So that shows you that some change is going on. We're not done yet. But in the long run, when there's zero profits, zero losses, all the changing has finished. Okay? Good. Okay, so go ahead. If my ATC is there, profits or losses?
Profit.
Firms come in or firms leave?
Come in.
Come in.
Come
Market
in.
price increase or decrease?
Decrease.
Decrease. Okay. So that means for the firm, they're going to be producing less. Their profits are going to get driven down to zero. My ATC curve is up here. Profits or losses?
Losses.
Do firms come in or do firms leave?
Leave.
So what happens to market price?
It
Goes
increase-
up.
It increases. So what happens to these firms' losses? The
They
losses
become
smaller
They
and
decrease.
smaller and smaller. They keep on decreasing and decreasing until there's zero losses, and then no more firms leave. So to
and then
show
if
you that in the
MR
long
equals
run,
to MC.
what's that?
And we will know that if MR equals to MC.
No, MR is equal to MC shows you profit maximization. Profit maximization could happen with positive profits. Profit maximization could happen with negative profits. You're always going to be here no matter what. Okay. What shows you if that's a good situation or a bad situation is where your ATC happens to be. Okay. So in the long run, our ATC curve is going to be right there. Okay. This is how we know that we're in long run equilibrium. There's no more change. Okay. There's no reason for companies to come in. There's no reasons for companies to leave. Everything is in balance. Okay. So this happens so much, we're looking forward to this so much, that this situation where there's zero economic profit, we have a very special name for that in economics. We actually call that normal profits. Oh, and I know that sucks. You might think, well, how is that normal profits? When profits are exactly equal to zero, in econ, we call that normal profits. Okay? When your profits are positive, we actually call that abnormal profits. You're earning even more than your normal profits. Okay? So we're always going to be, no matter if we start from positive profits or negative profits, we're always going to be moving to normal profits, zero economic profits. And once we get there, there's no more reason to change. Okay? Shut down. Okay. So we're going to be starting in with the story with short run losses. And remember the story with short run losses. These firms, the price is below their average total cost. And again, if P is below ATC, what am I saying? What does that actually mean? Why do I care about the relationship between P and ATC?
Because
Because its total revenue is less than the total cost, so then you're losing money.
Whenever I say P and ATC, in your mind, what you should be thinking is, he's talking about total revenue and total cost. Because if P is less than ATC, what that means is total revenue is less than total cost. Wait, that means you're earning less money than you're spending. That means economic losses. So, let's see what happens with economic losses. I told you before that some firms stick it out. Some firms have extra savings at the bank and they're able to survive a little bit longer. Other firms, they're in a bad situation, so they decide to leave. That's not entirely true. Okay? The way we figure out if some companies stay and other companies leave, it all has to do with their variable costs and their fixed costs. Remember, we're talking about short run here, right? Our idea of short run is some resources are fixed. And what resource do we usually talk about that's going to be fixed? Capital. So you could change up your labor, but you cannot change up your capital. Why? Because you're on a contract. You're on a lease. And that rental contract, that rental lease says you have to pay rent for 5 years. No matter what. I don't care if you're earning tons and tons of economic profit. You have to pay the rent. I don't care if you're earning no profit. You need to pay the rent. I don't care if you're making losses. You need to pay the rent. So, let's see what happens with these short-run losses in different situations. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to draw you a big graph, P, little q. This is just for the firm. Okay, so off here to the side, to the left, you can imagine that there's the downward sloping demand and upward sloping supply for the market. And that's going to show me ... my market equilibrium price. And what does that show me for the firm?
That it's fixed.
What's fixed?
Perfectly elastic.
Perfectly elastic what?
Price.
Perfectly elastic.
Demand.
Demand. Man, you guys are getting good. Okay, so don't be annoyed with me. Okay, I'm gonna catch you at every. I don't want to say the wrong thing. You guys are not saying the wrong thing. You're saying the incomplete thing. I'm gonna catch you every single time you guys do that. Okay, I know it might sound annoying, but I'm gonna nitpick for a little while. Okay, because that's gonna show you to train you to be very, very careful about what you say. Don't just say perfectly elastic. Say perfectly elastic, firm demand. What does that also show you?
Marginal revenue.
So that's half of my marginal analysis story. What's the other half?
The quantity, the marginal cost. And
marginal cost. And I know MR is equal to MC. That intersection, it shows me my best case scenario. So you know what? At this point, I don't even have to know where my ATC curve is. where my MR is equal to MC, that is always, always, always my best case scenario. I'm always going to do that. I don't care if I'm making profits. I don't care if I'm making losses. MR is equal to MC is the perfect quantity for me.
Why isn't it like quantity demanded? And why just quantity, like how long?
Because here is the demand, okay? And here, we'll see this in a little while, here is the firm supply. Okay, so we are looking at demand and supply together. So this is the quantity demanded, but it's also the quantity that the firms are going to be supplying.
Okay, so it's both.
It's both. Okay.
Like it's the transaction quantity, like what is getting sold.
Yeah, it's what is being produced and what is being sold. Okay. So now to show short run losses, where do I need to draw my ATC?
Above the marginal revenue.
Above the marginal revenue. Okay, down. Yeah, let's make it better. Down, touch, and then start to come up. There is my ATC. Now, do not do this. Okay, first of all, what does that box represent?
Your losses.
The losses.
Trick question. That box represents nothing at all.
It's from the line.
Yeah, it's from here. Okay, I don't know why students start from here. I guess it looks like, oh, minimum point of ATC, that's super important, so there's going to be the profits or the losses. No, remember, my story begins and ends with however much you decide to produce, and that's always Q star. So never look here, never look here. I don't care about those quantities. I only care about this quantity. And at this quantity, here's the P, here's the ATC. So here is the amount of economic losses. Okay, not this guy here. That guy there is nothing. It's from here to here to here. So imagine that this line where Q happens to be, that's the only line you care about. On that line, there's the price. On that line, there's the ATC. So there's going to be my losses. Okay. All right, so this dude is earning negative economic profit. He's making economic losses. So we need to figure out if this is going to be one of the guys that sticks it out, or if this is going to be one of the guys that exits the industry. The way we do that is we have to bring back another one of our favorite friends. I've left out my AVC for a long, long time now. I've only focused on the ATC because the ATC is how I measure profit. If I draw the ABC again, well, who could remind me what ABC looks like?
It starts like
Average
this
variable.
and gets shorter every time.
What looks like, sorry, I didn't hear?
Average variable sauce. Okay, so it looks exactly like your ATC, but you have to bring it down, okay, and move it to the left a little bit because it still needs to be minimized, okay, where it touches the MC, just like the ATC needs to be minimized where it touches the MC. And again, a little bit of review. What is ATC minus AVC?
Average fixed cost.
Yeah, so I don't need to draw the average fixed cost because you could see it here and here and here and here. And what do you know about average fixed cost as quantity increases?
It stays the same.
That's total fixed cost. Average fixed cost is going to keep on getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. That's why you see that these curves are getting closer and closer and closer and closer. But do they ever touch? No.
No.
And they never ever intersect. Okay. All right. Okay. Let's start using some different colors here. So for this company, for any company, if they're making short-run losses, what that means is you're still under this lease. You're still in this 5-year period. So you have to pay your rent no matter what. If you're in that situation, there's only two things that your company could decide to do. You could either decide to keep on producing. I know it's painful, but you're just going to keep on producing. You're going to be making losses. Yeah, you're going to be making losses, but you're going to keep on producing. So,
but no, you're gonna make economic losses. But
yeah. Okay, but the name of the game right now is profits are out of the story. You're in a really bad situation. You're not trying to make any profits. What you're trying to do is you're trying to minimize your losses. You're not trying to earn as much as possible. Right now, you're trying to lose as little as possible. So you could either do that by keep on producing, making losses, or you could decide to shut everything down. Now, careful, shutting down is not the same as leaving the industry. Shutting down just means temporarily, okay? You turn off all the lights, you shut down all of your machines, you send all of your workers home. You don't produce anything whatsoever.
But you still have to pay the lease.
Perfect. Perfect. So let's go through this. If you produce, are you earning money?
No, but maybe
Yes.
you could repeat.
One more time. If you produce, are you earning money?
Accounting, yeah.
Yeah.
Accounting,
No.
yes.
I'm not saying are you earning profit. I'm saying are you earning money? Are you
Yeah.
earning
Yes.
revenue?
Revenue.
Yeah. Because if I produce, here's that green box. What does that green box represent?
Total
Revenue.
revenue.
Total revenue. How do you know that?
Price times quantity.
Price times quantity. So if I decide to produce, I earn that box worth of total revenue. What happens if I shut down? How much revenue do I earn?
0.
0. I shut everything down. I have no total revenue whatsoever.
But how can
Oh, so you cannot pay the.
he has a lease of 5 years?
How can I what?
How can the firm shut down
Uh-huh.
if there's a lease of 5 years?
So shutting down, again, doesn't mean you exit the industry. It doesn't mean you just break this contract. Shutting down means, okay, I'm going to pay the rent. Okay?
I'm gonna pay the rent but stop producing.
Yeah.
So if you're not producing, you won't make money to pay the rent. So you have to. Keep
But
on
you
doing
don't have to pay for the
That's
customers
what
or the
happens
workers.
to
There you
people.
go. That's the big clue. Okay? Because at Q star, take a look at this. What does this vertical distance represent?
Price.
What curve did I take it up to?
The
To the
man.
average variable cost.
So this represents average variable cost. Oops, average variable cost. Okay? And what happens if I multiply average variable cost times quantity?
It makes you variable cost.
Good. AVC times Q is total variable cost. So this green one was total revenue. This blue one is going to be total variable cost. Okay? So if I decide to produce, I'm earning some money. But if I decide to produce, what that means is I brought all my workers into my factory. Am I earning enough money to pay all of my workers? Yeah. What's bigger, the total revenue green box or the total variable cost blue box?
The total revenue.
Yeah. So I'm able to pay off all of my total variable costs. What that means is all the workers that I bring into work, I'm able to pay them at the end of the day.
So it's basically the same thing as before, but like if the AVC is below the demand, it's profit, and if it's over the demand, it's
Kind of, sort of. Okay. But profit again has to do with average total cost. My price is still below average total cost. I'm still making losses. Hold on to that for a second. Okay. So if I produce, I am making stuff. I'm earning some money. I do have total revenue. But the only way to make stuff is I need to hire those workers. But the cool thing is I'm earning enough revenue to pay all of my variable costs. If I decided to shut down, again, how much revenue do I have?
0.
I shut
Zero.
down. Yeah, I'm not producing anything. Here's the cool thing though. If I shut down, how much variable cost do I have?
0.
0.
But you have fixed.
Yeah, I shut down, so I sent all of my workers home. I'm not
But now
paying
you
them
have to pay
anything.
the rent, which is fixed, right? Because it's 5 years.
So, no matter if I produce or if I shut down, I still have to pay all of my fixed cost. If I shut down, how much fixed cost do I owe?
You
What is
owe
left?
the price until the average. Well, no, the
Whatever my fixed cost is, whatever my rent is, I owe all of it. What I mean by owe all of it is how much money did I earn to pay my rent?
0.
Nothing. Okay, so whatever my rent is, I owe all of it. Here's the cool thing about producing. If I produced, I earned some total revenue. From that money, I was able to pay all of my total variable cost, and I have a little bit of money left over here. Is that profit? No.
That's the fixed cost.
That's how much of the fixed cost I'm able to pay. Okay, take a look at your Q star. What does that distance represent?
From the beginning to ATC.
From here to here.
The average, well, the
fixed
total
cost.
fixed cost.
Yeah, you guys told me that before. The distance between here and here is average fixed cost. Here is average fixed cost. Here is average fixed cost. At this quantity, here is ATC minus AVC. Here's my average fixed cost. And what happens if I do average fixed cost times quantity?
Average.
Average,
Total
it's
fixed
fixed
cost.
cost.
It's total fixed cost.
Total fixed
Total
cost. So if I decide to shut down, I have no green box of revenue. I have no blue box of variable cost. But I still owe all of this in terms of rent. That's how much total fixed cost I owe to my landlord. But if I decide to produce, I earn this green box worth of total revenue. I have that blue box worth of total variable cost, but I'm able to pay all of it. And I have a little bit of money left over. And that little bit of money left over, I'm going to use that to pay.
To minimize your losses.
Yeah, I'm going to pay, or I'm going to be able to pay this much of my total variable cost, or sorry, this much of my total fixed cost. What happened to this much?
You owe it.
I still
You
owe
still
it.
have to pay it.
I still have to pay it no matter what. But the cool thing is, I was able to pay some of this total fixed cost. So now I do owe. I still owe, but I only owe some of my total fixed cost. So the story here is, if I decide to shut down and my rent is something like, I don't know, let's say my rent is $5,000. If I
Does that
decide to
mean
shut
you're
down,
going debt?
if I decide to shut down, that means I owe $5,000. But if I decide to produce, how much do I owe?
Less than
Yeah, I might owe
Maybe.
something like $3,500. What's better,
I have a
owing
question.
5,000 or owing
But
3,500?
it's always better to produce, or sometimes it's better to shut down.
In this situation, it's better to produce. What's the
I
question?
think that like if the average variable cost is above the price,
Good job. We'll cover that next time. What was the
like,
other question?
then it's better for you to shut down so you minimize your.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I'm like. This firms, what they want to do, like to do us in the beginning, is to minimize like
Mhm.
how much they can their losses. Like
Mhm.
they want to do what's most efficient for their companies.
Yeah. Okay, so this is a situation that we drew where we have short-run losses, but it's better for the firm to keep on producing. Okay, tomorrow what we're going to do is we're going to talk about short-run losses, where it's actually better for the firm to shut it down. You're actually going to be minimizing your losses by shutting down. Okay? Cool. Good job today. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.